What's up, guys? It's Kevin here. I updated a new bracket. Now that we've been playing a little basketball, it's almost March. It's almost the best sporting event of the whole year. So I upgraded a bracket as of yesterday, the AP poll. I have a new bracket. I'm just going to show you guys, run through it, see where teams are at, where things stand. And yeah, let me just get it pulled up. All right, so here's the bracket. We've got the seed lines laid out, regions, automatic bids, there's 31. At large bids, there's 37 to get us to 68. I got the last four safe. I got the last four in. AQs obviously are in blue. At larges are in white. This is just a quick look. I have it out actually, like in bracket form too, because it's a little easier to look at. It's what we're all used to. Duke is the top overall seed. They beat Michigan when they were number one and Duke was number three. They move up to number one. I think it's fair. They have the Wooden Award winner, Cam Boozer. I said it. I don't love it, but I said it. Their role players are playing well. Who's going to be the second best player in the tournament for Duke? Gongba, the offense, kind of ho-hum. Dame Sarr, the offense, not awesome. Isaiah Evans, tough shot maker, but tough shot takers also take bad shots. Caleb Foster, we'll see. I like Duke. I don't love Duke, especially because they're always so freshman led. That doesn't always prove to be very successful in the tournament. But for now, they have earned the title of number one seed, best team in the country. I'm fine with it. Um, they got the winner of UMBC in Long Island. UMBC right now, kind of the new projection from the America East. It's been Vermont for most of the season, but UMBC is leading the conference right now, and we've seen them do it before. So NC State, they actually got crushed tonight, I think, by Virginia. And Virginia's good, but NC State, I'm not high on in this game. Texas, I am because Dalen Swain has been one of the best isolation scorers in the whole country all year, and he's flying up draft boards. The team around him, it's not poised really for a deep run, but in terms of these games where things are evenly matched, having the best player on the floor is going to be very helpful. Number five, Alabama here. Alabama's a good team. Their defense this year, especially, is not great because their interior presence isn't very good. I mean, Amari Allen, he's good, but he's like a three or a four. He's not really a center. The whole Charles Bediako saga, I mean, whatever, maybe that's getting in the way. Guard plays fantastic. Phylon, awesome. Holloway, one of the best second options in the country. And I said months ago, weeks ago, can he prove himself to be that? And he pretty much has. So Alabama's good. Championship level defense? I don't think so. High Point. High Point's been running the table. Their record is awesome. They could be scary in a matchup like Alabama. I don't think so. I think they'll just get kind of outpaced. Arkansas here is the four. I really like Arkansas because they've got some better size, especially with Trevin Brazil, like Pringle. Like they have good bigs. Darius Acuff is very good, especially good on the defensive side, which not every college point guard is. Billy Richmond has had his 20-point games. Malik Thomas has had his 20-point games. If those two guys right beside Acuff are going, then Arkansas is going to be really tough to stop. Stephen Austin, common tournament appearer, popular upset pick sometimes. They'll be duking it out with McNeese State to see who wins their conference and gets in. Number three, another team I like a lot, Illinois. Keaton Wagler, one of the premier playmakers, going to be in this upcoming draft. Kylan Boswell, experienced guard, has done it. They've got the Visich brothers. They've got Merkovich. I think it's Merkovich on the Illinois team. They've got a mix between some flash and good offense and old veteran, we've been here before type play. Obviously, very well coached by Brad Underwood. Illinois, if they kind of keep the pace that they're on, you could look at them to really do something. Austin P is in here as the 14 seed. They've been at the top. They're the ASUN. I think they've been in the top. We can find that actually. Yeah, Austin P and the ASUN. They've been at the top of that conference for a couple weeks now. Number six, Iowa. Number 11, Ohio State. Ohio State had a good win against Wisconsin last week. They've got Bruce Thornton, who will not actually be the best player in this game because Iowa has Bennett starts, and Iowa plays slow and they drag you out and they get good shots, and Bennett starts hits his threes, and I was they're fine. They can get beat by beat by a fast team or just a more talented team, but Ben Starks is a good player. Ohio State, I mean, they're an 11 for a reason. They're just a major team that's had some good and frankly had some bad and haven't proven themselves to really be legit in the Big Ten. But Ohio State, it's okay. I would probably give that one to Iowa if we're looking at it right now. Utah State at the 7, their numbers are really good. They've been a tournament disappointment in the past. I'm still not sure how I feel about that continuing. They look a little stronger because they've confidently been on the 7 or 8 line for most of the season, which is pretty impressive. I feel like usually it's like, oh, they'll win the Mountain West, but they'll be a 10, they'll be an 11. Maybe it gets them a little bit of easier game. Georgia is not a 10 seed to sneeze at. Jaron Stevenson, we know he's a big game shooter and big game scorer. Somto Cyril, I would argue he's the biggest guy in the tournament if I didn't know any better. He's got the chance to disrupt games with his activity in the post. So this, if it played out, would be a really interesting one. Georgia with some good SEC wins has the chance to move up because some of these mid-level teams have the chance to move down still. But that would be a good matchup. I would like that a lot, and it would parlay interestingly into a Purdue game. I mean, we got Troy here. Shout out to Troy. Where's Troy at? I thought they were the A-Sun too. Whenever they win, Sun Belt, A-Sun, Sun Belt, FBS, FCS. Yeah. Purdue, good, but not great. Efficient, yes. Britton Smith, very good. TKR, nice footwork. Oscar Clough. I mean, they've had better centers. They had Zach Edey. This is not a Zach Edey Purdue team where they're basically unstoppable in one regard. This is a Purdue team where if they're not able to play inside out and not able to make their threes, then they struggle offensively, and the defense is good at best, but sometimes, especially on the perimeter, kind of just okay. So, looking at the Midwest here, I'll zoom in for everyone. I probably should have done that earlier. I like Illinois here. I like Duke. Cool. Duke's the 1 seed, so I'll pick all the 1 seeds. But I really, I really like Illinois, especially to kind of neutralize Duke and give as many options as possible to combat Duke's good team defense. So maybe if I was doing it up right now, I would take Illinois to win this region to throw a 3 seed in there and be unique. But yeah, that's the Midwest. We'll go down to the East because this is whoever wins this would be who plays the other team in the Final Four. Or yeah, the Final Four. Houston, the one I have them as the fourth best team, and then you can see UConn's down here as the 2. I got them fifth. UConn's good too. Houston, very good. Starting lineup is obviously awesome. Kingston Fleming's obviously awesome. Chris Sanak is getting better. His shot selection is getting a little better. He's still taking some long twos, trying to show like, hey, NBA, I can shoot. But the rebounding's getting better. The instincts on defense, I'm pretty impressed. The thing with Houston, or 2 things with Houston, Milos Uzan and Emmanuel Sharp, not really consistent shooting secondary complementary pieces. And I wish I could see them like have games where it's 16, 15, 17, 18, not like 22 one day and then 5 the next day. It's, it's tough to be able to count on that. But they're well coached. Their record is always amazing. Not very good versus the AP top 25 this year, which is something to keep an eye on. And then Houston, their bench is just not great. They don't get much of anything from the guys that come off the bench and aren't the 5 starters. Um, so that's something to be worried about in these high stakes games where every possession is big and every possession is that much more tiring. It'll probably be Wright State. They'll move on a good bit. SMU I have Boopy Miles and the Mustangs as the 8 seed. Now, this is a team with a dynamic offense. They wouldn't really make noise in this second round matchup per chance, but if they're placed on the 7 line or maybe the 8 line somewhere else, SMU could be something. And I got them matched up against Miami, Ohio. It's confusing because the AP poll, like they're ranked 21st or whatever. If you do the math and just go down the list, that's a 6 seed, but Miami, Ohio, they play in the MAC. They're undefeated, but their schedule has been a cakewalk, to say the least, right? I still think they're going to lose at some point. If they lose one, especially in the conference tournament, well, it'll be a bid stealer, which is tough, but they'll still be in. I think they get exposed in the first round. I don't know too much more about them to really speak confidently on it, but I think they get exposed in the first round. BYU at the 5. Now they have one of the best players in the tournament, AJ DeBonsta, one of the most underrated point guards in the tournament, Robert Wright. They have a good defensive big in Kei Wakeda. They're missing their second best offensive player in Richie Saunders. He tore his ACL. And BYU's depth is not bad. It's not awesome. This has some upset potential because South Florida has been awesome in the American Conference, which is a physical conference. It prepares teams to play the Big 12 or the SEC kind of a little better than some other leagues do. At the 4, we got UVA. They just dogged NC State. I think I'm not too upset that NC State lost. I think they're a little bit undisciplined. But Virginia's been good. The rebounding with Virginia is good. The turnover numbers with Virginia is good. And when they can shoot, the offense is hard to stop. And Tista Ritter is a good best player. He's not really like a get me somewhere best player. I got him going up against the Summit League winner North Dakota State here as the 13, which might come out a little high for them as a 13, but we'll have to see who gets bids and where everyone shakes out. Michigan State, I am low on Michigan State. Their record is good. They're well coached. Their defense is good. The offense and the shooting, I think, is not enough to really go anywhere. I don't know how susceptible they are to a Navy upset. Navy shooting, I don't think it's the best. I know they've got a good center. This might just be like a Michigan State plays our brand of ball better and they beat Navy. But Navy's been good in the Patriot League. Patriot League getting to a 14 seed or maybe even a 13 seed because Navy's been so good. That would be big for the conference. Shout out to the Patriot League. Michigan State, I don't love though. Tennessee, I do like. They don't really have star power. Maybe we thought we were getting that from Nate Ament. He fills the stat sheet though, sometimes efficiently, sometimes not. Jacoby Gillespie is a good leader. He's turned into someone that's going to give you a pretty consistent stat line and pretty consistent play from the point guard position. I would like Tennessee at least over Michigan State here, and you could talk me into a UConn matchup if we're getting like really ballsy with this part of the bracket because you got to do it somewhere, right? Um, I like Tennessee a lot. I think their offense has some holes sometimes, but I like Tennessee a lot. Indiana and Missouri feels very Ohio State-y, power league teams that are kind of just doing okay enough to stay afloat. Obviously, these are two of the last four, so they're susceptible to bid stealers, especially in the MAC if something happens like that, or Utah State doesn't win the Mountain West. So we'll see how that shakes out. The 7, Wisconsin. Now they lost to Ohio State. They have the Michigan win. Hopefully I'm not misremembering if they have the Michigan win or not. Wisconsin's an interesting team. UCF also has big wins in conference. These are two teams like what version of them are you going to get? Are you going to get the version that hits their threes and doesn't turn the ball over? And whichever one does that better is probably going to pull out this win and then meet their match more than likely with Connecticut. Taking Merrimack for a 2:15 game. How a little Northern Massachusetts for you. The Merrimack, I don't know what they are. The Warriors, Merrimack something in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference, but I digress. Back to UConn, maybe the most complete starting lineup in the country. maybe one of. I mean, they've got like two guards, a sniper, Caravan. Let's say what you want about Caravan. Terrace Reed. Terrace Reed, when he's on the floor, is a very impactful center. He has some foul trouble stuff. Silas Demer and Solo Ball actually do a pretty good job of not stepping on each other's toes on offense. They both like to get downhill, Demery especially, and they have the shooting to be able to complement that, at least with Mullins. And Caravan can shoot too, obviously, really well. Reed's not really a shooter, but usually that spacing, it's college basketball, usually that spacing is not much of a problem. Um, UConn's really good. I mean, I kind of hate it because they won two in a row and it's a little repetitive, but they're coached really tough and it works out really well. I did say that Tennessee over UConn could be a sneaky game if that's what it comes to. My gut will still lean me towards the UConn just because their roster is a little more experienced and all around more complete. But yeah, I got Tennessee and UConn here in what would be an Elite Eight matchup, or no, Sweet 16 matchup. And Houston would make it out here. This grouping here, these four teams. I mean, I want to trust BYU, but that game, especially if it's South Florida, that's the matchup, that can get a little bit interesting. Um, Going to my head, I go Houston here. Getting fun with it. I picked Tennessee to make it out of this region. I don't know what the odds are for six seeds making it out. It's not something I do. Putting that in your bracket is not something I recommend. But I was goes to say, don't hate Tennessee. We're back with the right side of the bracket. I know it's been chilling the whole time, but I'll just leave both sides up the whole time so you can look things over and make out matchups in your head, whatever. Arizona, number two overall after the win on the road at Houston. I thought sending them down to four. I mean, I know two losses in a week. This team's very good. They're the deepest team. I think I say it every time I talk about them is their eight-man rotation, 1 through 8, is the strongest in the country. It may be the strongest we've had in a couple years. So I like Arizona a lot. I like their tournament chances. They're led by a senior guard and freshman talent, and they have a good center rotation. What's not to like? Well coached, obviously. Bethune Cookman, shout out to them. SEMO, new addition, SEMO. I forget who they took out, but I just put them in last night as the what are they? VC? Ohio Valley? One of the valleys. Ohio Valley. They'll play for the chance to lose to Arizona. At the 8, Villanova kind of rising to the top of the mid of the Big East. I don't tab them as being able to go very far. This is a very winnable game for Kentucky, and I want to like Kentucky. They're poorly coached. Their roster construction is not awesome, especially without Jellant Lowe. They don't really have great point guard play. They have okay big play with Moreno and even better big play with Jaden Quaintance in the game. We'll see in 3.5 weeks from now where he's at and what things are looking like. Winnable game for Kentucky, though. They'll have Utega Oweh, the best player on the floor. Denzel Aberdeen is a national champion. Like, picking Kentucky in this would not be crazy. North Carolina at the 5. Now, Caleb Wilson healthy. North Carolina is very dangerous. I don't know about beat Arizona dangerous, but like, this is a good team. It's got post-oriented Wilson investor. Seth Trimble is good. He's not a amazing offensive engine. None of the Carolina guards are, but like Dixon's a good shooter. Some of the guys they play, you watch and just get upset by. But Caleb Wilson is a very unique talent. Investors are good. Space the floor big. He's a good interior big rebounding. I mean, he's so long. He's over 7 feet tall. Um, Belmont has been awesome. This is a tough matchup for them. We'll talk about the 413 in a little bit. That's right there. But I mean, they play in a tough league. Bellarmine's always kind of knocking on the door in that league. But I like North Carolina. They're gonna have the best 3 or 4 players on the floor. I guess mostly three in this game, and they would probably have a couple of the best, two out of the best three, three out of the best four in the next round as well. Where Texas Tech, a team I Love Texas Tech. I mean, Christian Anderson is a great point guard. The scoring and assist ability while being still efficient was awesome this season. It's probably not going to go anywhere. It's probably still going to be awesome. He's going to have to shoot more. JT Toppin tore an ACL. Absolutely crushing loss for a guy who was either one or two in National Player of the Year. So that's really tough for them. They get UNC Wilmington, who does have size. They have a good center, number two. I forget his name. I watched him live. UNC Wilmington also has tough shot makers. When the game comes down to it, they didn't play their best game against Northeastern when I saw them, but they have guys that can make difficult shots. And I was pretty impressed in the second half. They were getting open threes, they were hitting them, they were making tough twos. Texas Tech without JT Toppin, this could be a game that people could circle, and maybe Texas Tech drops some games and they fall kind of off the four line. Maybe UNC Wilmington rises up to the 12 line. Like UNC Wilmington, I think they've lost five times this year, maybe even less. Nebraska at the three. There's a lot to like about Nebraska. The thing that stops them is where is the offensive ceiling? It's very team oriented, and I get that it forecasts to work because if you shut down one guy, another guy that is going to get open looks is going to make them. I like that. The defense is pretty good from the inside out. There's got pesky guards, which I think will be trouble for Hawaii or any 14 or 13 that they really end up playing. So I think Nebraska has a pretty high floor. I'll I'll see how much I like them with who they get matched up with. I would like them against Vanderbilt because with Duke Miles, he's going to be healthier, and Tyler Tanner handling so much of the offensive responsibility. I think Nebraska could disrupt Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt would be okay against Santa Clara. Um, I'd watch out for who this 11 is, though, or if Vanderbilt's in a 5-12 game because Vanderbilt's bigs were a little eye-washy in the beginning of the year. I mean, their schedule wasn't great. They played some really good games, but they're almost a product of what the guards create for them. And if things get harder for the people with the ball, then things might get harder for people without the ball. So I would tread carefully with Vanderbilt. I'll say that. The St. Mary's A&M game, I haven't watched too much of either of these teams. It's a toss-up. You lean towards A&M because the defense is always good and the rebounding is always good, but St. Mary's well coached. They're kind of in the same position every year where it comes down to a WCC team. They just don't spend the time with the level of physicality that these SEC teams do. So my edge would probably go to A&M. And then Florida has been playing tremendous. They're bigs. I mean, we haven't been worried about them for a second, right? Thomas Howe, Ruben Chinyelu, Alex Condon, their stats have been awesome. They're controlling the glass. They're controlling the defense from the inside out. I worry about their guards. Like if they get to Nebraska here, it's Boogie Fland and little Xavier Lee, and they're getting pested by Hoiberg and these Nebraska guards. Like that could be a good game for Nebraska to win. Um, I like Florida though, like especially to beat Utah Valley and beat whoever they get here in this St. Mary's A&M game. Just because the front court is so dominant, it could still be argued that it's for sure the best three-man front court in the country. Um, so that's something good they have going for them. I would take Arizona pretty quickly to make it out of this region. Um, would be pretty chalky. I'd probably put them up against North Carolina here in the Sweet 16 game. Um, I think Nebraska over Florida could be cheeky. I think if UNC Wilmington's on this 12 line and maybe it's not North Carolina, it's a smaller team, an SEC team. I think that could be a fun upset. I think this could be a fun upset as it stands. I would take Arizona to come out of this one though. Bottom right, I guess, as I have it. Also, just update. Arizona is tied with Baylor right now, 66-66 with 7 minutes left in the second half, pretty late. Um, disregard everything about Arizona if Baylor wins. I mean, that would be something Arizona would probably be off the one line with a road loss to Baylor. Either way, Michigan's the one here. I think Michigan's awesome. This would be the number three overall seed. Their size is unmatched. They win most rebounding battles. They lost it against Duke. They win a lot of turnover battles. They lost it against Duke. And they didn't shoot. And they play kind of inside out through Mara making passes, Lindeberg being able to do a bunch of different things at different levels on the offense, and Cadeau facilitating it all. If the threes are going in, things look really easy. If the threes are going in, or not going in, rather, they kind of get stuck. But they haven't had too many bad games where the offense hasn't worked, and the defense for sure works, and the rebounding works most of the time. I like Michigan. I feel good about them making it pretty far. I like Miami too. They've got some names. I mean, Trey Donaldson, Malik Reneau. The program has turned around. It's scary sometimes when the program turns around that fast, but also it allows for more momentum. Auburn, I'm not in on. Keyshawn Hall's a talented player, but his success doesn't really translate super incredibly to wins, which is tough. I would take Miami to win this game. St. John's, they'll have the best player on the floor, Zuby Ejiofor, if they match up with Liberty or any 12-13 good mid-major team. They're so susceptible to an upset with their guards and Ian Jackson and Josen Sanon. They just haven't really showed up in a lot of games, or they'll show up in the first halves of random games. I can't bank on them to help supplement scoring if Liberty wants to bring two off a catch to Ejiofor. It feels like it won't be enough, and it maybe won't be enough in the first round. Liberty, their record has been insane, super serious upset candidate for sure. Kansas at the four. There's been a Darren Peterson with Kansas with Darren Peterson and a Kansas without Darren Peterson. Ironically enough, those two teams have had similar success rates. Like they lose just as much as they lose when Darren's on the floor or when he's off the floor. He's played some not so awesome games as of late. Sometimes him getting to his shots, they're tough shots. He makes a good amount of them. Doesn't look super in tune and in flow with the offense and like how Trey White operates and how Melvin Council operates. It's different. They're kind of suppressed when Darren is out there. But the fact that they have multiple options and like multiple good scoring options and Bryson Tiller who can stretch the floor and Badunga, I know he's a lefty, but he's been a good college player this year, and he's been a good, like, Big 12 solid starting center. I think they would beat Yale for sure. It's coming from a Yale guy. I mean, this Yale team is not as good as it was the past 2 years when they played A&M close. And when they beat Auburn in their 5-12 matchups, they've been human in the Ivy League. And the teams of the past 2 years with Bez Mbang and John Poulikitis and the Danny Wolf team, they were not human in the Ivy League. They were unreal. So the Yale team, it's a little smaller. They're susceptible to just getting outmatched and losing rebound battles, which if they floor Badunga, they probably will lose or getting into foul trouble against these shifty guards. So this would be a good matchup for Kansas. And I would ride Kansas to the Sweet 16 up here against Michigan. Gonzaga at the three. This is the same song and dance with Gonzaga. They play really good in conference. They drop one game to a team they shouldn't lose to, and they're ranked in the kind of 10, 8 to 12 range. And some people take them really far, and some people don't. This Gonzaga team does not have the juice. The Jalen Suggs team had the juice. They had a little more firepower. This Gonzaga team just has a good record. They don't have the juice. Now, is that to say they'll lose to East Tennessee State here? Probably not, but they don't have the juice to make it very far. Louisville's not an automatic qualifier. My bad if I messed up some of the automatic qualifiers. I was doing this last night and I might have not added some right ones and took away some wrong ones because Louisville's not. They're in the ACC and they're doing okay. They lost to North Carolina yesterday, which Caleb Wilson wasn't there, but North Carolina was still the higher ranked team. Mikel Brown Jr., in his good games he's played, I've been very impressed. Good two-way talent, shifty, long limbs, good control of the ball, can really shoot the three. Ryan Conwell can really shoot the three. If those two guys get hot, Louisville's really hard to beat. Could be trouble for Gonzaga. But on the other side, if this is a round of 32 matchup, Gonzaga has the size advantage over Louisville significantly. That's been their biggest weakness is interior defense, losing rebounding battles. And if Gonzaga can win that and Louisville's three-point shooters aren't going absolutely ballistic, then Gonzaga probably moves on. But Louisville has the chance to get hot and change the landscape of kind of any game, no matter who they play. UCLA, this would be fun actually if Donovan Dent played his old team. He hasn't been as stellar as I hoped he would, being a big fan of him when he was playing for a mid-major. And New Mexico, they haven't been as bad with him not there, which is very, very interesting because New Mexico's, they've built good players, they've transferred away like Donovan Dent, and they're still kind of in the same place where they are every year. Very well coached, a product of the program, not just specific players. I think these teams, UCLA honestly has a pretty solid chance against Louisville if Louisville shooters don't show up, but threes are worth more than twos, and if Louisville can do that, then sorry, Louisville, I don't want to be saying it wrong. If Louisville can do that, then they're probably going to be safe at least in the first round. Now, this is interesting. St. Louis lost to Dayton. I mean, they'll still probably get the AQ in the conference. It could be where they lose the tourney to Dayton or VCU or maybe even George Mason, and we get two bids from the A10. But they had established themselves as the best team in the A10 by so much, and their record was so good. They're in the AP poll. Robbie Avila kind of doing his thing down low, and they lose to Dayton. So are they susceptible to a loss to a not so good team? Yes, of course they are. They won't be a seven next week. Obviously, they'll probably be out of the AP top 25. And Clemson's in the AP top 25, and they're on a pretty bad losing streak. But it's at least something knowing that Clemson has like done it before. Like they were good earlier this year. There was probably weeks where they were a five seed, maybe one of the better six seeds. So this is an interesting team, an interesting matchup of teams. Like when are they getting hot? Is St. Louis about to go cold? Is Clemson going to get hot again? Because their seed lines, I think, especially with these two, are still very changeable throughout the rest of the year. Iowa State at the two. They've had some uninspiring losses where their offense has just not been enough, having their leading scorer score 12 or two or three guys in double figures. Maklovich having 5 points, something like that. Josh Jefferson's very good. Tamim Lipsey, good. Great on defense. Offensive engine, not so much, which is why I worry about this team. I kind of don't love what happens here. Like, if Louisville gets there, maybe Louisville can have a chance against Iowa State because great offense can overpower really good defense. But Iowa State's defense is absolutely fantastic, as it is every year with Coach TJ. And defense wins championships. It gets them pretty far most of the time. If Kansas can become this three seed, I think Kansas over Iowa State would definitely be something to pay attention to because Kansas is very complete and even still pretty good without Darren Peterson or when Darren Peterson's not at his best. So maybe if I was like going how far do they go? Kansas is my number two out of this region if I had it all the way I wanted. I got Michigan making it out of this one though. Their size is so good. They've been fantastic all year. And yeah, that's the bracket as it stands right now, February 24th. I'll scroll up and down maybe once or twice to get everyone to look at it. And obviously things are going to change. Things are going to change all the way up until minutes before Selection Sunday, which is kind of the beautiful thing about this sport is we can come back in a month and matchups will be different and then we'll get the real matchups. And I'm just excited for March Madness. And I hope you guys got some intel on where people are looking, where we think matchups are gonna end up, who can make it out, what teams are hot, what teams are cold. In any case, thank you guys for listening. Make sure you stay tuned to Instagram, TikTok, a lot of content coming out soon from all sports, all channels of the Pyramid Sports Network. And yeah, thank you guys again.